Well, no matter how I put it, but the fact of the matter is that the automotive industry is a male-dominated empire.
If you take a closer look at history, you will know that there's much more out there than meets the eye. There have been several iconic women over the past who have forever changed the way we view or drive automobiles.
In fact, some of the safety components like the indicator, the brake lights and the wiper were all invented by a woman. And the sexy NSX that Tony Stark drives in the Avengers was also designed by a female designer.
And for all you young girls out there, if you often waited right and left and right to pick up that wrench, well, you know this, the road ahead is very clear and very bright. And then there's always one place you can always stop by to crank up your engine.
Well, welcome to this week's episode of WION Pitstop.
Let's head straight into our Power Bulletin where we bring you the latest auto updates from across the globe.
Now, with Donald Trump as the President of America, there's not been a lot of good news that's been coming in for the Indians.
That's right, especially with threatening US companies over offshoring.
Yeah, however, there is one good thing coming in from the States that Indians sure won't mind.
Christmas will arrive early this year for Indians as Tesla, the American electric car maker, is most likely set to make its debut in India this summer. In reply to a Twitter user who goes by the handle @Goyal_Ishan, Tesla CEO Elon Musk confirmed the company is hoping to launch in India this summer. In an announcement last year, Tesla had opened bookings for Indian buyers too and got a decent response from people who were willing to dish out close to $1,000 for the fully capable self-driving cars. In April last year, Elon Musk said that Tesla had added more countries including India, Brazil, South Africa, South Korea, New Zealand, Singapore and Ireland to the Tesla Model 3 order page. Tesla Model 3 will go into production in late 2017 and is expected to cost around $35,000 before tax breaks.
At first glance, it's a beautiful car with fine muscular lines running along the side of the body, plush interiors and enough room for your granny in the back seat. The car emanates class. But don't be fooled though, because under the hood, it is a thoroughbred monster.
Luxury, style, and class. Let's be honest, speed is not necessarily the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about the Bentley. But looks like the British car maker now has their sights set on downright speed. Bentley announced the new Continental Supersports, which will be the fastest and the most powerful Bentley ever. With 8-speed automatic paddle shifting and an all-wheel drive system that hits the 0 to 60 miles per hour mark in just 3.4 seconds. Now, it's not as powerful as a Lamborghini Huracan or even a Ferrari 488, but it definitely touches the speed of a 2017 Audi R8 V10 Plus. The car churns out close to 700 horses with a top speed of 209 miles per hour.
When we do the design for a new Bentley, you have to make the balance in between luxury and performance. I think with the Supersport we are a bit more on the performance side, and this is also what we had to show. Nevertheless, it is in the end always an elegant Bentley. The difference in between a standard Continental and the Supersports is driven very, very strongly by functional demands. So we need much more air to get into the car. We have to deal with down forces, with up forces, aerodynamics, and this has to be reflected in many, many details around the car.
Priced at just a little more than $293,000, the world's fastest four-seater will come with large disc brakes, a rear spoiler, a front splitter, and a new diamond quilted design for seats and door panels. With Titan's sculpted, potent, and fresh looks, Bentley's Continental Supersports is expected to arrive in showrooms this May. With this announcement, Bentley has set the standard of a sports car quite high.
Oscars for movies, Grammy for music. Nothing in the automobile world is more prestigious or bigger than the World Car of the Year award. And with the finalists of 2017 being shortlisted just earlier this week, excitement in the automobile world just shot through the roof. It's that time of the year to reward the car manufacturers across the globe, who put in their best effort to manufacture the perfect machine. The finalists of the World Car of the Year 2017 were announced by the WCA earlier this week. Last year, Mazda MX-5 was awarded the World Car of the Year 2016. However, this time, an interesting mix of cars have made it to the final list of cars that will battle for the top glory. This year, Audi is leading with Audi A5, Q2 and Q5 on the list, giving cars like Jaguar F-Pace and Mazda CX-9 a tough competition. Cars like the Honda Civic, the Fiat 124 Spider and the Toyota HCR will also be vying for the top prize. The awards is not just limited to the perfect car, as there are various other categories. The final list of the 2017 World Luxury Car includes cars like the Bentley Bentayega, the Volvo S90 and the BMW 5 Series. Without performance, the mean machines like the Aston Martin DB11 and the Audi R8 Spider have made the cut in the best performance car segment. With rapid advancement in futuristic technology, leaving fewer carbon footprint seems to be the way forward for car manufacturers. Of World Green Car of the Year, going by the social media wave, the Toyota Prius and the Hyundai Ioniq seem to be the favorites to win. The winners will be declared at the New York Auto Show in April 2017. Let's keep our fingers crossed and see who's the most prestigious automobile award of the year. Now, before we move on to our next segment, let's cut into a small break.
Welcome back. You're with us on WION Pitstop. Let's move to our next segment. It is all about Spec Check.
Well, Satya, do you think size matters?
Well, I'd be lying if I said it doesn't.
Well, in this week's segment of Spec Check, our friend Parakram had the honor of laying his hands on the world's largest production motorcycle.
So, some time ago, I was in Rajasthan. I was motorcycling through the state and I asked a friend of mine, an Englishman, very funny guy. I asked him, what do you think of the Harley Davidson? No, thank you, he says. I don't want a tractor on two wheels. We don't have a Harley Davidson for you today, but we do have a tractor on two wheels. May I present the Triumph Rocket 3. 3 cylinders, 2300 cc, and very, very powerful.
The Triumph Rocket 3 is the world's largest production motorcycle your money can buy. The broad tires, twin headlamps, wide handlebars, massive tank and engine, and the really wide-set exhaust pipes, everything adds to the size quotient.
So we know that it's powerful, but what can the bike really do?
We knew the bike was going to be powerful. But what I like is that it doesn't take very long to get used to the power on this bike. It's big, it's fast, it feels stable.
Under flat-out acceleration, the power delivery feels like it tapers off towards the middle on the rev range. But if you push the engine further, the Rocket 3 goes ballistic, pulling strongly till the speedometer runs into its red line.
You don't ever feel like you're going to fall off the motorcycle. And so long as the road is straight and wide, you do get a slight king of the road, king of the world feeling sitting on this motorcycle.
As you crank up the motor, you realize there's a lot of power in store as it churns out a maximum of 146 horses at 5,750 RPM. The 2.3-liter 3 cylinders are longitudinally mounted inside the twin spine frame, giving out the colossal look on the motorcycle.
Traveling on this bike is a bit like going at warp speed on the Enterprise. It's fast. 120 kilometers per hour is chicken feet. I know I've been going on and on about the power on this bike, but that's what this bike is about. It's about sheer brute power. But beyond that, what can this bike do? It can't bank. Turning 180 degrees is difficult. It takes the width of an entire road to turn this thing around. And I don't imagine it would be great in traffic. But having said all of that, at a party, it's definitely the motorcycle that every single girl will want to sit on. And of course, it also works perfectly well as an armchair. The price of this perfectly good armchair, 22 lakh rupees.
Now that's an armchair I wouldn't mind sinking
What,
into.
Parakram?
The motorcycle, yo, snaked the motorcycle. Well, look, to be honest, the price would burn a hole in my pocket, but for that piece of art, I'm sure there'd be takers.
Well, while we mull over our pockets and pennies, time to take a short break. On the other side, we discuss how young racers cope with the demand of motorsports. Stay tuned.
Welcome to WION Pitstop,
A show where we definitely care about what happens in racing and to racers.
which is why Pitstop had the front row seats to the 2016 Indian National Motorcycle Racing Championship in Chennai.
Now watch this very special story on Indian racing in our next segment, Cruise.
Over the years, the Madras Motor Racetrack in Chennai has grown into an iconic place for Indian motoring. This racetrack has produced some of the most prominent racing talents from across the country. WION Pitstop was one of the few hand-picked auto shows who've had the privilege of covering the 2016 Indian National Motorcycle Racing Championship in Chennai. We spoke to several racers and their teams to understand where Indian motoring stands today and what the road ahead looks like. The event hosted 5 individual championships and 3 one-make championships. Overall, there were about 20 races and a record 250 entries this year.
To begin with, what happens is, to come and participate in a race like this, you need a special license called the FMSCI license. Any competitor who has a driving license and aged above 13 years is eligible to participate in these races. And they have a choice of going with different manufacturers to participate.
As you know, TVS stands for racing history. They have the legacy of almost about 33 years in the racing thing. And that is the same lines which we also follow. We work in the same lines of TVS. We support all the riders and promote them, push them hard to race and perform well on the track.
As thrilled as we were looking at young racers go up on the podium, we couldn't help but notice that there was another side to the story. And the other side wasn't too bright. It's common in the Indian racing circuits to see raw talent rise to prominence within few seasons and then plummet. One major challenge seems to be their inability to compete at international platforms, which is mostly due to lack of sponsorship.
There should be more sponsor to conduct a national event first. Then only we should have at least 10 to 15 rounds. Then we think about going or getting some international. We need backup. Without sponsors, we cannot do anything. So actually main thing is lack of sponsorship has been the motorsports difficulty.
But the problem isn't always with the sponsor. For instance, teams like TVS Racing are one of the few crusaders of Indian racing. Their contribution dates back to the early 1990s. with insane machines in their arsenal like the thoroughbred Apache RTR 160, which was developed by top-class engineers with valuable inputs from professional racers.
TVS conducts training school 3 times in a year. We also support a few training schools, RACR, California, Superbike School. So there are a lot of opportunities for the youngsters now, and it is also true that a lot of young racers are participating and performing well in the events.
I rode the one make championship, and suddenly TVS Racing is started sponsor me. Past 8 years I am riding for Team TVS Racing. They are giving more chance to young riders. They provide bikes and also fastest bike in India. Our bikes are winning continuously championships. So many riders got many chances and also winning many titles.
It's refreshing to watch teams like TVS Racing fostering young talent. But it's also time to take cognizance of the situation and find a solution to drive an international win for young bloods who are eager to be fueled up.
Let's keep this conversation going. We'd like to know what you think about this episode. Write to us on our social media platforms and digital platforms.
You can tweet to us at WION_Pitstop or write to us on this email ID right here.
This episode of WION Pitstop comes to you from Throttle Shrottle in Gurgaon.
Until the next episode, this is Snigdh and this is Satya signing off for this time.